Welcome back to War Thunder and welcome aboard one of the not so much played tanks recently, the Maus. The Maus is a German 7.7 battle rating German super heavy tank, and it has a lot of tricks up on its sleeve nowadays that many people don't know about. They mostly have to do with the 75mm gun. Today's topic is just simply what the Maus can do with two battles, or rather just the first half of one battle that you can see on the Port Novorossiysk map currently, and later on another map where I get an ace, but there you also will see one of the drawbacks. The major complaint that I have about the Maus is the Leopard. What are you talking about? Well, stay with me, it's gonna be a long explanation. Overall, the Maus has bad stats for a 7.7 tank. I think stat-wise, just the IS-4 is worse at its own battle rating, but yet the IS-4 has better effective armor for the turret, and that makes the IS-4 fun to play from time to time. Many people say, yeah, hash it and that's it, but what are you going to do if you're up-tiered against it in a German tank? That was always the strength of the IS-4. But let's not complain about the IS-4, because, to be honest, it also got power creeped, like the Maus. So tanks around it got stronger and stronger, new things were implemented in the game that the Maus doesn't profit from. So, does the Maus have APHE? Check. Does it have a strong HE shell that can wreck enemy Russian tanks, especially medium and heavy tanks, when detonating on the driver's hatch? Check. Does it have heat FS? No, but a heat shell for the 75 with a quick rate of fire. Does it have APDS or APFSDS? Nope, but it desperately needs it. A lot of the tanks that you face, you have to aim for very specific parts on the turret, like cupolas or the driver hatch, the lower glacis when it's not angled, and when something like a T10M angles, you have a damn hard time getting in this shot. But then the Maus has, you know, a lot of advantages. Very good all-around armor that can withstand every AAA in the game, and that is something that every Leopard driver is jealous of, because they don't have armor. The 75mm is practically what I think makes the Maus worth playing, in combination with the 128, which is, both guns are greatly underestimated. Especially the 75, which is such a, I don't know how to say it, gimmicky gun. You can fool the enemy with the tier 4 shell upgrade. You can lay yourself a nearly constant smoke screen for smoking up multiple locations of the enemy, and I think this was one of the last battles where I tried to unlock it. So in the future you might get another Maus video, and we will see. So the real reason why I complain about it is because very often I survived for a very long time. I you know, captured even a cap circle, defended it, was eventually overrun, and had no chance. Now, there is a tank that can help the Maus, that is the Leopard. The problem for the Leopard is that it is, lo and behold, too fast. Napalm, get sober. No. The Leopard is not fast enough to get into an advantage or an advantageous position on many maps, because then it has to duel AAA trucks, it has to duel other medium tanks, and it needs a lot of upgrades to even get to a decent speed. And then the speed difference against the other nations' fast tanks is not too great. So yeah, and then they get killed off, and then they have not achieved anything, and they die, and leaving the Maus alone. And again, the Maus has the heavy tank spawn cost. So the Leopard behind me in the open gets a shot in the engine, burns, extinguishes it, and now I'm mobile cover for him. And I'm now a big middle finger for the guy in the Russian tank that tries to now harvest the Leopard. I'm not quite sure where he is, so I'm moving a bit forwards and backwards, and I'm just waiting for him to be repaired. Because the Leopard has overall, when it's fully upgraded, the better gun. A mixture of hash and especially the heated vest shell can deal with any armor in the game at the moment. You know, rank 6 is approaching. There might be a very slim chance that the Kampfpanzer 70 for the Germans gets introduced after the mouse due to the armor and the big size of the gun. We will see. So, what are the buffs that we can give the mouse? Well, directly for the mouse, I highly would suggest that we give the mouse the APHEDS shell. Practically an APDS shell for the Germans for the 128mm, which its core was a long 88 APHE shell. I'm not quite sure about the penetration values, but how the gun is arranged and what I have heard. It's around about 400mm of penetration, with also the normalization stats, technically, for an APDS shell. That would be monstrous. And let's face it, the mouse would deserve it, because it hasn't received any buffs. Then, you know, is it really demanded too much to give it a quicker reload? I mean, just the IS-4 at its battle rating has a longer reload, I guess. Hell, even the Object 268 has a faster reload on a bigger gun. Yeah, you see where this is going. So maybe give it a high caliber heat shell with, let's say 300mm. That'll be enough. That'll be enough for me. Then, you know, buff the reload. Maybe give it the stronger turret front. We saw numerous changes to both the IS-3 and the IS-4, where before that they were once very strong, then they got nerfed, then they got buffed again, and so on. Not just the turret, but also the driver's hatch on both tanks, so on and so forth. So I guess the mouse would deserve the 240mm turret, which existed, and it's up to Gaijin, you know, what they're doing. But I would love to see it. Now, why is that important? Practically the turret is, at the front at least, cast armor, not rolled homogeneous armor. So it gets a reduction value of around about 10%, maybe 9%, sometimes 11%. I've penetrated this turret with shells that are not even capable of penetrating 200mm of rolled homogeneous armor, at least according to the stat card. Now, is there a bit of RNG involved with the penetration values? Is it whatever? I don't know. I know for a fact that rolled homogeneous armor is, you know, delivering what it's promised in terms of armor thickness. Cast armor is weaker, and so I even have to fear the IS-6 at close range for the turret front. And the turret front, you know, it's a huge target. It's there on both sides. It's flat. Any shell tap that gets fired at you will go through and possibly also damage the gun breech, which takes ages to repair. So maybe even drop the repair times for the mouse to, let's say, half. That would greatly improve it. And then we have finally a tank that can, in any scenario, support the Leopard, and the Leopard can support it. Side shots are the strength of the mouse, but it's a bit much to be asked for the mouse to flank IS-6s. So I had a lucky spot right there, and I'm not really saying the mouse is useless. It's far from it, but it needs support. It's one of those last really tanky tanks in War Thunder. It can tank the damage like no other. I think just the E100 is better with the gimmicky side skirts that can even absorb the big hash shells from the FE 4005. So we have talked now about the buffs to the mouse, because I don't think that Gaijin ever will drop the BR to 7.3, because while the mouse will profit from it, a lot of other tanks that really shouldn't face the mouse then face it. And, you know, watch this shot. Watch this shot. beautiful. But you know, it's again asked a lot to aim with that magnification, with that scope, at the center of the cupola of a Russian medium tank, because you cannot reliably penetrate the turret front, and the hull front is a no-go, at least on the 47 version of the T-54, which I have talked a lot about. You have a 50-50 chance of penetrating the upper and lower glacis of a not angled flat T-54, 49 and 51, T-55A, T-62, IT-1s, but again it's a 50-50 chance, and they have really no difficulty penetrating you, again with their stock shells, or the upgraded shells, with any shell they have, when you directly face them. So I had to secure here the life of my Tiger, but he was soon to be taken out by an IS-6, I guess, from behind. So yeah, I still have to continue the decap, because we also need to go for the objective. And German teams are just notoriously bad at doing it. Russian and British have low tier throwaway AAA with low spawn costs that can you know, rush the cap it, bail out, get into a CAS aircraft, and voila, there you have your magic support. The Germans have, I guess, just the Gepard, the low tier one, which I showed, but then again, you know, not a lot of people are using it. I think one of the weaknesses of the German teams is that they are fighting not just against the odds, but also trying to be going for the direct fight, which they shouldn't. So here I tried my best. I get shot from the left. There is CAS incoming. The Brilliant didn't shoot there, and yeah, I mean, I was lucky to survive it. And oh look, an IS-6, and now it begins. And watch that I actually try to use another shell type, HE. So there is an IS-6 and an IS-4 coming at me. Oh, wonderful days. So the actual problem of the mouse is not just that it gets damaged all the time, it can't fight back on many occasions, it has to angle where it also then can't shoot back, it gets rushed very often, and that's the problem. The mouse gets rushed, and nobody on the German team thinks about using it to its advantage, especially the Leopard drivers. What are you talking about? Well, if a Leopard would position himself in such a way that he can just shoot at the tanks that are trying to rush the mouse, or shooting at the mouse and being occupied with the mouse, it has an easy time of sniping, not being in the danger zone, getting all the nice juicy kills. And the mouse just can't do its job by also gaining points with tanking. Now here I did a big mistake. I thought that the IS-6 has actually hit my main gun, but it was just a low caliber one. So technically I should have killed him, but yeah. And then again, look at this IS-6. He's completely hypnotized by my presence. And there is a second IS-6 about to join the fight. And I'm not sure if they trolled me or if they were highly incompetent, because there were new players that bought themselves the together with the Tiger M46, the highest BR premium tank, and tried to get into a top tier battle. I'm not quite sure, but you can watch it for yourself. I'm no further commenting on that, except for one thing: when I die. And you will not believe the way that I die. Here, everything that there is left is one tank and 3 AAAs, and they are not protecting the front line, and they're doing practically nothing to support me. I have here a very hard time to hold myself alone with a damaged secondary gun. If the IS-6 would love to kill me, they could do so. They could easily do that. And I think it's really annoying that the IS-6s put bushes on their only weak spot that I might have a chance to hit, or a cupola. Oh boy, all the balance. Oh. So, I think what the mouse really needs is team support. 2 or 3 mice and a few other tanks in a group working together could be a fortress. They could harvest the enemy team. They could go even for the objective, at least after the mouse has arrived on the capture zone. Then support each other with repairs. That is something that the mouse could do. And I would love to see certain buffs to the mouse. And I have no idea what they're doing. I've really no idea. Yeah, I was not sure if I should be, you know, frustrated or amazed what they're doing here. I'm marking them, but there is just nobody there that could support me. Maybe the Horton, but then again, yeah. So now I try to go forwards, and again I am a bit too high because of the bush. The turret front is also, you know, I never got through the turret front of an IS-6 with my 128mm. Watch this. I have 220mm turret front and a 207mm penetrating BR-471B shell gets through my turret front. Yeah. That's it. And after that, there was no reason to get in, to join back. I'm not even using my lineups just because of that. I survived long enough to see that I have no chance anymore. Now, I'm not completely, you know, ranting here about the current state, but the mouse needs a bit of love. And the addition of tier 6 gives the unique possibility to de-stress all the battle ratings. A lot of people have suggested wonderful data sheets and Excel sheets. They have sent them to me. I looked through them. I saw numerous attempts of balancing that were sent to Gaijin, and they must have heard that call. There are so many things in the forum, so I'm not quite sure why it should not be implemented. So let me know in the comment section. So that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields of War Thunder.